Welcome to CI in 5 Reflections, the place where we take a break from our regular CI in 5 feature to look back at the themes that have surfaced over the past 5 episodes. The theme that has surfaced the most over the past 5 episodes? Creating a culture of continuous improvement. Now, in episode 21, Leticia Tavares talks about how you can't create a culture of continuous improvement without going and talking to the people that do the work.
Get involved and get the buy-in of your frontline associates, right? So for me, it was really getting the buy-in of the front office attendants, of the housekeepers, the laundry attendants, people that work in the restaurant, people that deliver the food. So, I couldn't have done anything without them because they're really the ones that are working on the processes and living that process daily. And they're the ones that really get to me and say like, oh my God, like that change we made really affected my job for the better. So, you need their buy-in, first of all. And if you are in a different industry, like think about like who are your internal customers that you need to gain that buy-in.
When you're doing problem solving, it's so important to build relationship and trust with the people who are doing the work so that you can build that continuous improvement culture. Now, in episode 22 with Elizabeth Weary, she talks about how she was working with a company and trying to do some problem solving and the importance of creating a no-blame culture.
So there's some staff who were not doing their work on time. There was a lot of errors. There was one staff who actually was thought by management to be doing very great, but while indeed they were not doing really, really well. So when all this was mapped out, it became very clear where the problem was, because everyone tends to be very polite. We also encourage people not to blame each other. So if you're looking at teamwork, to say there's no teamwork seems like a safe word, but when you drill it down, you're able to expose, inefficiencies, but also bottlenecks with personalities. So that was really and has been really been helpful. Roles were switched. People have KPIs now, so that's really helpful.
By understanding the strengths and personalities of those we work for and with, that not only helps us get the results we're looking for, but in the end, it helps us create that culture of continuous improvement. In episode 23, Marie-Geneviève Povlock talks about an experience she had with some C-suite executives and how she helped them understand that practicing continuous improvement is really like having a superpower.
All right, so let's look at Tony Stark and let's look at him stranded in the desert. What are the steps that he took to free himself? And how did that work? So they started talking about, they actually got really into it and they started talking about the different things that Tony did to free himself. And I said, that's continuous improvement. And so I'm like, that's his superpower. Like, he's the guy that doesn't have like a superpower from another planet or from a mind stone or for something, but he has the superpower of being able to problem solve quickly, to ideate, to make the mistake, and to repeat. And he does it so quickly, people just assume he's a genius. And they all went, oh, okay, that makes sense.
You don't need to be Tony Stark to practice continuous improvement, but you do need everyone from the C-suite down to the frontline associates and everyone in between to practice continuous improvement if you really want to embed that culture at your company. Now, for Kimberly Green-Goldsborough, in episode 24, she talks about the importance of not just doing and understanding, but also really embedding that culture of continuous improvement.
So we talked about knowing something, applying them, doing it, and then really getting the full understanding of it. But all of that is also really supported by or halted by a culture. You have to apply and introduce and work process improvement within your existing culture with the intent to change the culture, because without the culture change, all of it really gets back to doing. You can do, but until you really change that culture, you're not going to get the change that we're really looking for. So it's that culture change.
Want to see big changes at the companies you work for and with? It starts by changing the culture. Now, in episode 25, Erlin Kakkanad talks about the importance of, if we want to create that culture, and sometimes we just gotta forget the tools.
Something that I learned is that if you have a hammer in your back pocket, you're always going to look for a nail And if you don't see the nail, you're stuck. So you want to look at why would somebody even need a hammer. So I think we always have to take ourselves outside of thinking as ourselves with a box of tools versus a person who can solve a problem. And then think about the tools that are applicable to solve the problem. So if you're stuck, forget about your tools. Like literally just forget about your tools and just look at, what am I trying to do? What's the purpose?
Erlin's right. And it may seem counterintuitive for those of us who practice continuous improvement, but we gotta stop focusing on the tools and really switch our focus to purpose. Now, if you're on the journey of purpose like I am, I would love to have you become a part of the Lived on Purpose group. It's a supportive community that helps us all as we discover and live out our purpose. The link is in the video description. And join us next week as we learn from one of your favorite continuous improvement practitioners in the next episode of CIN5. Until then, stay calm and Kaizen.